Welcome in to another episode of Why So Sidious, a nerd podcast. I'm your host, David. Here with me tonight is my co-host, Caleb, and our special guest, Ben, joining us again, our Game of Thrones extraordinaire. Looks like he's buffering and he's gone. So say goodbye to Ben. It was a good time we had him on here. And
Swift stroke.
And he's back, just like that. And just like Dunk taught us in these episodes, it's not about how you fall off the horse. It's how you get back up. And here's Beat On getting back up. He's in the episode. We're here talking about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Amen. A Game of Thrones story. Welcome in. Before we dive into this Song of Ice and Fire story that we so love, go ahead and check us out. Socials, Instagram, X, TikTok at Why So Sidious Pod. We are fully healed and won on the whole Spotify and Apple side of things. All of our episodes are up. Reviews are back. We got everything recovered. We're rocking and rolling at 100%. So go ahead and give us a review if you haven't yet. And if you haven't been following us on Spotify or Apple, go ahead and follow us there because everything is up to date now. We got our Weekend Geeks that we've been dropping. We got our coverage of the first half of this season of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And most recently, we dropped a Spider-Man Brand New Day speculation episodes with Spidey Collects, another guest host on there. So that's a good one. Go ahead and check that out. And Andy, our newest member of this podcast, has been doing the Star Wars rounds already. We're getting closer to a Star Wars project revealed. So we had an episode with Clan Brandalorian talking Mandu and Grogu. Go check it out. But tonight, it's all about Westeros. It is all about A Song of Ice and Fire, a Game of Thrones, as you may. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We wrapped it up. We watched the finale. It is done. It is over. And I think the overall reactions were pretty positive, especially coming off of a lackluster House of the Dragon season. So we're going to go through it. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. It was just a 6-episode season. We'll go through episode by episode. Each one popped off a little bit in its own way. And then we'll talk about what we thought about it and what we're expecting for the next season, because they are already doing season 2. It's in production. And there will be a season 3. There's no way it gets canceled at this point. And this is based off a book series with 3 books. So keep your eye out for that. Let's get into episode 4. We left you guys off on a cliffhanger last time because we recorded right after episode 4 dropped, and episode 4 had a bit of a banger event happen at the end of the episode. So we'll get into that real quick before the 2-episode kind of pairing of the end here. We kick off episode 4 with the reaction and consequences from Egg revealing his true identity in an attempt to save Dunk from punishment after he punches and kicks Prince Aerion Targaryen. Dunk demands trial by combat, to which Aerion counteracts a trial of the 7 request. Dunk and Egg set out to find 6 knights that will join his cause. And after a betrayal by Steffon Fossoway, I'm not even going to call him sir because he didn't earn that anymore, Dunk is left with only 5 fighters before the match. After swearing in Raymond Fossoway, who is disgusted by his cousin's betrayal, a surprise 7th rider rides into the field wearing the armor of the young Prince Valar Targaryen. But it is none other than Baelor Targaryen, first in line for the throne, who joins Dunk's team to complete the squad. Cue the epic Game of Thrones theme, and that is how you end an episode right there. So that was a thing of beauty. Ben, what do we think about episode 4 here?
It was good. Being the only one here that I think didn't read the books, I had no clue this whole season what was going to happen. And so the end of that episode was a big plot twist for me. And we'll get into it later about what happened after that. But yeah, it was a great episode.
Straight up. Love, with the book, you had already known about the Egg reveal and everything, but how do you feel they handled it rolling into episode 4 with this whole Targaryen reveal?
No, it was pretty great. Because Dunk immediately doesn't accept it. He kind of like, why'd you lie to me this whole time? But then he kind of has to understand him after that. And I mean, the trial by 7 was super interesting too. That was something I loved in the books, because there's a trial by combat is something you get in Game of Thrones all the time. But to do a trial by 7, it's like, oh shit, these are some bigger stakes now.
Yeah, it's intense. And it hadn't been done in a little over 100 years, I believe, was the last trial of the 7. And I'll get into that in a little bit here. Kind of give you a brief background on that, because it's a pretty crazy story the last time this happened. But this whole scene with them determining it. So Baelor brings in Duncan, and he's basically like, So you punched and kicked the prince. How good of a knight are you? Because whatever trial you're not getting a fair trial here, brother. And the last time somebody punched the prince, typically you take the hand that they punched him with, and you kicked him as well. So either you're going to lose a hand and a foot, or you're going to challenge him to a trial of combat, which Dunk gets ready to do, and Arian pulls out no, I refuse, and we'll do a trial of 7. His dad Maekar with the trial of 7. When they bring it up, he goes, "Are you hiding behind a 6,000-year-old Andal tradition because you're afraid of this hedge knight?" Like the way he reacted in just pure disgust that his son would be so cowardly to enact a trial of 7 instead of just hedge knight one-on-one was just perfect. I like the way they brought Maekar into this. At the end of the scene, he straight up grabs Arian by the collar of his shirt, pulls him up with one hand, like he's just straight up disgusted that his son would pull this BS, this ritual of the Andals that he's not even familiar with, which shows you that this really never happens in Westeros. So I love this whole sequence with Maekar here, just being disgusted with his son.
Yeah, which goes to show, like, they aren't, I mean, it kind of relates to kind of the episode 6, but being around a bunch of other Targaryens and in King's Landing and being royalty doesn't really work out well most of the time. It seems like a lot of them are kind of assholes.
Yeah. In the last, briefly, the last trial of 7 that ever happened goes all the way back to Maegor the Cruel. King Maegor the first, I think the only. I don't think there's been a Maegor Targaryen after.
I don't think they wanted to name.
I was going to say
they wanted to name anyone after.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those names where it's like, I'll name you after Maegor, the worst and most brutal and sadistic Targaryen there's ever lived. But essentially, it was in 42 AC, so after Aegon's conquest, and it was the Faith Militant uprising, being sick of King Maegor and his cruel rule. So the Faith challenged King Maegor to a trial of the 7, believing the right to rule the 7 kingdoms did not belong to him. Maegor accepted the challenge, and it was gnarly. So I'm not going to read off all the lords for Maegor's champion, because none of them are notable, except for the fact that one of them was named Dick Bean. Exactly.
Okay, George.
I think you spell it just Dick Bean. He did not make it. In fact, nobody made it except for Maegor the Cruel. 13 of the 14 participants were slain. A good amount of them, they don't even know how, because it was such a shit show of a mess. In fact, Maegor barely survived. He was the last one standing, but he was severely injured, fell to the ground shortly after killing his last opponent, and was in a coma for several weeks after the fact. So it was intense. It was obviously not something the realm wanted to repeat after seeing the carnage that something like that unleashed. And so Arian calling that out now after all these years is pretty wild. Lub, you've got a request here. Go ahead and show us your teats.
That's on the Patreon only. Okay, you got to pay.
Yeah, man, you got to pay. What are we doing here?
Find a paywall.
We're not cheap. So yeah, it was pretty wild for them to enact this, and it explains why Maekar didn't even know what the hell he was talking about. You guys have anything else on that whole sequence there between them deciding this?
No, I mean, just besides thinking how the hell is Dunk going to get together a team of 7? You know, like, where's he going to get these guys from? But it's cool how it comes together, though.
Yeah, he just struggled to get one knight to acknowledge his master even existed. And now he's going to have to pull 6 knights together who are willing to lay down their lives for him. So it's interesting. He goes in and he talks to Egg about it. He's talking to Darren Targaryen, the dreamer who had that dream of Dunk. And he said, stay away from me. He had a dream where there was a giant dragon whose wingspan covered a battlefield and it was dead and Dunk was standing near it. He didn't know if Dunk killed the dragon. Obviously, a bit of a foreshadow for the events to come here in the Trial of the 7. But it was pretty funny. Darren's talking about him. Darren can't stand Arian. None of the Targaryens like Arian. And Darren goes, Arian thinks he's a dragon in human form. It's a shame he wasn't born a Fossaway. Then he'd think himself an apple and we'd all be a deal safer. There's a lot of good quotes coming out of there.
It's kind of a foreshadow.
Yeah.
For Arian.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Well, Arian's got some interesting future coming in, which I'm going to go into that a little bit at the very end here. It's not going to be a spoiler for the show, but yeah. And it's kind of a tease just seeing another Dreamer as a Targaryen. We're going to be getting Bloodraven coming in soon. We already had Helena from House of the Dragon being a Green Seer or a Dreamer. So it's playing into that notion again here.
So that is interesting because there's no dragons, you know, the magic has gone from the world, but the Targaryens do still have that kind of secret power of dreams coming true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty rare, which is rare. The Starks have it. It's more in the books in the show, but still seeing a Targaryen that like has some type of like mythological power is kind of cool to see. You know, I like that.
Yeah. It adds something to it because there's the whole thing of, well, the Targaryens really aren't that special. You know, it's just the dragons that make them special. And so the dragons are gone now, but they're still having these dreams. There's still the little mysticism behind them in their background there. Mm-hmm. So Cooper said he will pay if you send the Venmo. So if you want to, we'll put our Venmo in the episode description there, Cooper, and then we'll talk after. So yeah, we have that declaration and Dunk assembles his team. So we'll just roll into that because that was pretty much, no, actually, yeah, I guess it kind of kicked off more so. So he goes to assemble his team. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but essentially Stefan Fossaway comes up to him and is like, I've got your back. You know, what did he say? I forgot what he said, but essentially he's like,
oh, they're the dragon house. Where are their dragons? Like, you know, I'm not afraid of them.
Yeah. Talking all that big game. And I took a note like, all right, he's got Dunk's back. Let's go.
Me too.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't right. I feel like I hated a Fossaway from the book, but I didn't remember. It was just like, you know, cool. Surely to find out later that he betrayed him. And there's even theories out there that Arian had already talked to him by this point, that Fossaway is hyping up Dunk. And this was a strategy for Dunk to be like, okay, Fossaway will bring me my crew. I don't need to worry about it. Fossaway didn't bring him anything. But little did Arian know that Egg was going to be recruiting people for Dunk this whole time.
Right.
So we get the scene where Lionel Baratheon's there and Dunk comes out and he's like, I cannot thank you enough, or Sir Stefan for bringing you. And he goes, who the fuck is Sir Stefan? Your boy is the one who found me. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And it just turns out Egg was the one who came and brought all these guys in. So, you know, he says, sirs, I'm in your debt. And we get lines like, the debt is Arian Targaryens and we mean to collect it. Robin Risling saying, when the crown goes against the gods, Sir Robin goes against the crown. We're getting all these hard lines. Sir Robin Risling, known as the maddest knight in Westeros. We saw that little flashback clip of him getting a lance to the eye, and he just rips it out and charges with his eyeball hanging out of his skull. The guy's a lunatic. So Dunk has a pretty dope team he's got assembled here, even with the betrayal. Ben, what did you think about this? And was the whole Fossaway being knighted thing, did that land for you before this little face-off?
I caught part of that. Sorry. My Wi-Fi is...
I understand. You know. The Fossaway scene.
Fossaway at the end.
Yeah, the betrayal and the knighting of Raymond. What did you think?
No, I did not see it coming initially. I thought he was all in with Dunk, but I knew somehow that the cousin was going to get roped into it, so it all played out.
Right. Straight up. They did make Raymond Fossaway, kind of a standout character to start. And again, I didn't really remember anything from him for this book, so his story built up pretty well. Love, did you remember this whole Fossaway switcheroo and Raymond and himself?
I remember the apple thing with the green and the red apple. I remember him starting his own with the green apple, which we find out. But I'm glad Dunk didn't knight him. I'm glad Lionel stepped in at the last minute, finding out what we found out later in the season. But yeah, I love the lines though, like the in the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. You know, in the name of the mother, I charge you to defend the young and innocent. Like, that's really cool how they do the whole knighting ceremony.
Yeah. And Lionel's got all the swag in the world with his
clean
ass gold armor and his little frills that he's got to it. And I think he could tell Dunk didn't know the words, and he was like, Dunk, you go take care of this. I'll handle this. And we do get the nods where it shows Dunk in Fossaway's point of view, looking up to Sir Arlen, and Sir Arlen gives him a nod like, I don't know the words, bro. So I took that as Sir Arlen knighted him, but he just didn't know the words, so Dunk didn't know the words. But as we find out, you know, in the next episode, apparently Dunk was never knighted. which is a change from the book, I believe. I think that was left open-ended in the books, but it kind of seemed at the end of episode 6 there that he, in fact, was never knighted by Sir Arlen. So this scene was interesting with Raymond there. And then, of course, they still need one. He's yelling at all the lords of Westeros, kind of a Brad Pitt Troy moment there. Is there no one else? But, is there nobody out there with honor in this realm? Is nobody else? Blah, blah, blah. He's going off, and riding through the gates is Baelor Targaryen. The Game of Thrones theme picks up, the goosebumps go off. Was this an all-time Game of Thrones moment, do we think, Ben? All-time in the list going down?
Yeah, especially since I had no clue what was coming. It was an epic end of that episode, and I do kind of feel bad for him though, because he's such a good Targaryen that I don't want to spoil, but yeah.
I guess I didn't say no spoilers at the start of this, but full spoilers for the season. So yeah, feel free if you need to go ahead.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, we are doing the entire recap of it. So.
I'm trying to think. I think that was it for that episode, though. But that was just it was just such a huge moment. Sorry, Love, did I ask you, was that an all-time Game of Thrones moment for you?
I don't know about all time. Maybe like bottom of the top 10 for me, because the original series has a lot of better moments than that. But the setting, early in the morning with the fog and the mist, and it's like this it's crazy how this small town that's kind of not a very Ashland or Ashford. It's not a very well-known city in the Game of Thrones world, and this world-changing event happened there. There's the memes coming out where where it's Lord Ashford had no idea he was about to hold the biggest tourney in Game of Thrones or Westeros history
for his daughter's name day. That's about to just have the biggest event of the century happening. Yeah, Lord Ashford really cashed out with this one. That was just a sick way to end the episode there. And the showrunner was talking about how hyped he was. I'm not going to read all of his quotes. I was going to at first, but it's a lot. But essentially, he was very hyped on this moment, and they took a lot of time to bring this moment to fruition and make sure it was a special thing that the audience remembered. But yeah, solid episode 4. We'll roll into episode 5 here, where the trial actually happens. So quick recap. The trial of the 7 kicks off. Heads get wrung instantly. Dunk is hit so hard, he gets sent back to his childhood in Flea Bottom. We see what really made Dunk from Flea Bottom who he is before he awakens to the carnage of the trial of the 7. After a bloody and brutal fight, Dunk emerges victorious, and Aerion withdraws his accusation, but not before Maekar strikes a deadly blow to his brother Baelor's head. Baelor stumbles in after the victory, only to reveal that his brains are no longer intact. So this was an intense episode. I feel, and I'm going to ask you guys this first just off the bat, because I feel like there may have been some complaints coming from this episode as far as time management goes. Lub, I'll lead off with you on this one. The flashback in the middle of the episode, was it jarring? Was it too much that they did that? How did you feel they handled the Dunk flashback in the midst of this?
At first, I thought, because I saw something on Twitter real fast, and it was did they do I forgot which movie it was where they skipped the entire battle. I forgot where they did.
Well, they did that with House of the Dragon. They skipped to the very end. Yeah.
Or even the Tyrion battle in one of the episodes in season 1 or 2. They do that.
With Robb Stark,
are they about to skip the entire battle and just go at the aftermath? And then the flashback happened. I was like, okay, I hope this doesn't last too long, but it did turn out to be a pretty interesting story and pretty, relevant for Dunk's story. So in the end, I did like it.
Okay. Ben, what did you think of it?
I wish it would have been in an earlier episode, and we got, since it is short episodes, that it was just a full episode of the battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They didn't show a lot of the side characters.
Right.
Yeah, no, battle. It was mainly just Dunk,
right,
the entire time. So I feel like they definitely had enough to fill out 30, 35 minutes of that battle.
For sure.
Yeah.
Even an extra 3 minutes of screen time really could have shown you the fates, because Baylor wasn't the only one to die in that Trial of Seven, which I'll get to the results of it really. But who would know, because we didn't see it. So they made a directorial choice to do it from Dunk's point of view and only Dunk's, which, because the book is told through his point of view, I think that's why they took that route. Not saying it was the best call. I guess I understand what their strategy was on it. And I did enjoy the flashback. And the reason why the flashback was important, because there's a line in the book that says Aerion Targaryen could vanquish Sir Duncan the Tall, but he could not vanquish Dunk of Fleabottom. And after it says that, after it's showing Dunk's childhood in Fleabottom, it shows him rising up from the mud, Dunk of Fleabottom coming in because his grit and everything he went through in his life. So that was to show, the grit of Dunk and how that didn't stop it. It was a big line in the book, but I do think they probably went a little too long in the flashback thing. It did take us out of the episode for at least a third of the episode, I think, was a flashback, which it's a big chunk. So
I don't maybe know. Even more.
Yeah, it could have been, because the episode itself is only like a 32-minute runtime. So yeah,
I think the flashback was important and that like we definitely needed it. I just think the timing of it could have been better.
Totally. Yep. I totally agree with that. Before we get into the flashback real quick, obviously, they're kind of planning out stuff. Baelor rides in and they're talking about who's going to do what. And Sir Beesbury goes, well, what are the Kingsguard? And Baelor goes, take heart, Sir Beesbury. I will handle the Kingsguard. By law, they can't lay a hand on royalty. Which, funnily enough, Sir Beesbury would go on to be killed by one of the Kingsguard 2 minutes into the fight. He was one of the deaths of this fight. So, take heart, Sir Beesbury. They're still going to kill you. But I'll handle them. So what did you guys think? Lionel's reaction here, I didn't take much from it. I didn't really know what to take from it until episode 6 when he's talking about Baelor. But he goes, oh, so you were mother's favorite, huh? No, nobody fights quite like a man who is neglected by their mother, essentially. So basically, he's like, he doesn't respect the strategy Baelor is taking here with the whole, I'll take on the Kingsguard. They can't hurt me. Did you guys pick up on the malice or kind of the spite coming from Lionel in this sequence?
Not totally. I definitely picked up on Baelor being like, yeah, I'll do what the Kingsguard will, is kind of stay off to the side and spar against each other. Basically, no one will actually try to be killing each other. So I do see how Baelor, and then when Lionel says it, he wasn't actually in danger until his brother hit him. But so it does kind of undercut Baelor's whole, like, Baelor did know that Dunk was a good guy and it was the right side to take. But at the same time, he wasn't really risking much.
Straight up. And real quick, Pluto 24 in the chat, always a good contribution here by this man. He said, I thought it was a shot at Maekar, saying he's going to go all out, bro. Be careful. Which in a way, yeah, a soldier doesn't fight quite like somebody who was neglected by his mother, was referring to Maekar because Baelor was obviously the favorite. So it did kind of seem like that too, but it seemed like he just didn't respect Baelor for that strategy. Like it seemed like, which again, we'll get into his lines about what he thought about Baelor's performance, but it was an interesting start. And then Raymond Fossaway starts throwing up instantly. Dunk starts throwing up both on horseback, and Lionel looks over at them like, oh God.
Sweet summer child.
It was like Rocket in Infinity War. He's like, all right, raise your hand if you've been to space. Nobody raised their hand. Like, oh God, you guys better not throw up on my ship.
Yeah, right.
So that was pretty funny. It kicks right off. Dunk gets a really late start. I don't know. He froze there or something, gets a late start, and he gets knocked out instantly off of the horse. So we go back to the flashback. There's mention of the Black Dragon is dead. They mentioned during this flashback here, referring to the Blackfire Rebellion, because this is when Dunk was a kid, when the Blackfire Rebellion was really kicking off. So we hear lines like that. We heard Daemon's rebellion is over. Take your Blackfire leather elsewhere.
Right. Different Daemon than House of the Dragon. Obviously.
Yes, not different. I believe that was Daemon Blackfire, if I'm remembering correctly, which was the bastard Targaryen trying to overthrow the throne, which started the whole Blackfire Rebellion. And then we see Dunk getting saved by Sir Arlen in the streets, and we see him fall. Well, we see his friend get her throat slit by some people. In
She
Flea
messed
Bottom.
around too much.
Yeah, you know,
She
you know,
got.
What did she say? You have to wonder.
Yeah,
I know,
she shouldn't have grabbed the knife. Like, you know, she got caught stealing the flask the first time, or the
Yeah.
and then they steal the coin purse, and then she grabs a knife as they're walking. Like come on, like just take your loss and walk away. You know.
Yeah. She took the knife and then turned her back to him instantly. It was like, well, probably stab him now if that's the route you're gonna take. Like,
right.
Let's see. Ben, did you have any thoughts on the flashbacks other than that? Any of the actual events that you know what? You're good. B-Don's gonna just hop in and out. It's okay. You know, we have internet problems here and there.
I will say also, Sir Arlen's pretty badass for an old drunk guy. Like when he goes up there and kicks those two guys' asses.
Yeah.
When he's like drunk at the same time and he's
hammered.
Yeah. Right.
In the name of the mother, whatever he said, just barely slurs out the night code. Yeah, no, he was absolutely hammered. But then we see Dunk trailing this man for like a week, if not more, with no food, no water, no drinkable water. He's drinking from streams thrown up from bacterial infections. He has no food, and he's got a spear wound to his leg. And so this shows like the tenacity of Dunk from Flea Bottom. He doesn't give up. He pushes through, which is why it related back to the whole fight with Arian. Again, maybe they spent a little bit too long on it, but it was a part of the book. The flashback was a part, and I think it served a pretty good purpose telling the story of this fight. So, yeah.
Sir Arlen singing Dothraki, that was pretty funny to hear.
Was that Dothraki? I was wondering what that was.
Did you have the captions on?
I didn't know.
Okay, yeah. So it said singing Dothraki, so that's why I got it.
That's kind of sick. So he's a well-traveled knight there. That's sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got the quick shot of the Red Keep in like King's Landing as they were walking away too. That was kind of cool to see for a second.
Yeah. No, that's again like I know the placement of it was a little awkward. Sorry, the placement of it was a little awkward as far as the timing goes, but I did really enjoy what we got from this flashback and a different type of, a different timeline of King's Landing that we kind of got a little peek into. So that was fun. I enjoyed that.
And it was the real underground part of King's Landing, Flea Bottom, like the bottom.
It was the dirt and the doit down there. Ben, don't you worry about it. Our guest here may drop in and out, but again, as somebody who hosts these shows and drops in and out while hosting,
I've overtaken you with the worst Wi-Fi, it seems.
I think you're bolstering mine. It's actually, don't say anything. We're going to knock on wood there. But real quick, so the Trial of the Seven, I'm going to just read off the team that we got to see in this here. So obviously Prince Aerion Targaryen is the main reason for this. And Daeron Targaryen is also involved technically because he accused Dunk of robbing or kidnapping Egg. So they in the book they play it off more too as this is Daeron and Aerion accusing Dunk, not just Aerion, because of that whole kidnapping thing. So you got Prince Aerion Targaryen, Prince Daeron Targaryen, Prince Maekar Targaryen, the father of both, Sir Steffon Bitchmaid Fossoway, and the three Kingsguard, which you got Sir Willem Wild, which is a savage name. Sir Willem Wild. Come on, that guy.
Where's that from?
Throw a hammer. Where's that from? What do you mean?
No, Wild.
It's popped up before. We've heard that name. I'm trying to remember. I know we've heard that name in a different Game of Thrones character outside of this, and now I'm gonna have to.
Maybe it must be House of the Dragon because I don't think there's a Wild. And
it is. I think it is House of the Dragon. They're in the Stormlands. Anyway, I'll have to look up that later. But
so it's a random storm.
Yeah, it's a house sworn to House Baratheon in the Stormlands there. Okay. And then Sir Donald of Duskendale and Sir Roland Crakehall, the two Kingsguard we met earlier, one of them being the son of a crabber, aka the largest crabber in all of Westeros.
Humble beginnings.
Yes, very humble beginnings. And then Sir Dunk, you got Sir Duncan the Tall, Sir Robin Reisling, the maddest knight in Westeros, the newly appointed Sir Raymond Fossoway, Sir Lionel the Laughing Storm Baratheon, Sir Humphrey Beesbury, Sir Humphrey Harding, both the same first name, spelled the same. And first in line to the throne, Prince Baelor Targaryen. Witch Doctor, you absolutely can get a free psychic energy reading. You're gonna follow, subscribe, and listen to our next 12 podcasts. All right. So it kicks off. Opening ride's epic. This one of my favorite shots. I was talking to my buddy Connor about it too, and he was absolutely enthralled with this shot. But when you see everybody taking off and riding, and you're coming in from behind, phrase that in a different way. The camera is closing in on Dunk from behind, and it goes into his back, and it transitions through his visor and the view of his visor as he's charging into the battle. It was just dope cinematography for this. And like I said, we get into the mud. So, Lub, what did we think of once we get Dunk waking up? Sir Arlen wakes him up from his flashback, and we get this gnarly fight in the mud with Aerion. Where does this rank as far as your, medieval one-on-one fights go? How'd you think they did this fight here in the mud?
It was awesome. You could really feel the brutality of it. It wasn't like super clean or fancy with like great sword moves where they're, like two the two greatest knights in Westeros. It was like a really a battle to the death where I don't know what Dunk's health bar is. Definitely pretty large with all the shots he took. Yeah, like holy crap, man. But it was just like you felt like you were there with him the way they did it work. It was just like you could really feel they'd slow it down, stab through the leg or through the stomach, and then Dunk finally gets back on top. And I mean, phrasing for there too, I guess, but no, it was definitely up there for one-on-one battles.
Straight up. Ben, how did you like it? The visceralness of this fight?
I mean, basically everything that Caleb said, like the dirtiness of it, the fact that it wasn't like two super skilled fighters going at it. It's definitely up there. My all-time favorite though is still, even though the ending wasn't good because someone got cocky, but the Mountain and Oberyn, and
yeah,
I think that's probably my favorite fight in Game of Thrones history.
That's a good top 5 list to do.
Fantastic one. And that is, because there's some good one, and that is a great one as far as an example of like a polar opposite style of a fight, because there was so much grace with Oberyn and the fighting he was doing, and this stuff with Dunk is just, there's no grace involved. What's going on with this fight? We should make a list about like top 10 one-on-one Game of Thrones fights, because there's some good ones out there. It was unlike a lot of other Game of Thrones fights because of how sloppy it was. It reminded me of the movie. Oh God, I always forget it. I always want to call it The Crown, but it's not The Crown. The King, with Timothée Chalamet. And Last Duel with Matt Damon.
Yeah,
I was going to say The Last Duel.
They both have very visceral, up close knights that are just basically being suffocated by their own armor as they're trying to roll around in the mud, trying to gain an advantage somewhere, and you just feel suffocated as a viewer watching it. Like it's so I was just stressing this entire sequence, like on the edge of my seat, because it was just so stressful. But it was done so well, and the sound design, Dunk gets clipped, and it's like you can't hear anything. It's like he got flashbanged, and he's looking around, and he's so rocked, and the way it's shot through the camera, the viewer just feels disoriented, like Dunk is at this point. And it was just, he got stabbed so many more times, by the way, than he did in the book. In the book, he got a lance to the side, and he got the eye injury. In this, Aerion stabbed him like 7 or 8 times. He stabbed him through the hand with the same dagger that Daemon Targaryen wears in House of the Dragon, by the way. That same little handle that's on the hilt of it. And these daggers last, man. They're built pretty well because they're being used by people 100 years later. But wow, shout out to Sean L'Aquarius tapping in from state prison. If that's true, good for you. That's
who are these people?
Oh, by the way, also Pluto mentioned the Wild we know from is House of the Dragon. Remember that Jasper, the guy who's just talking trash on the council the whole time, and you just like, this guy just sucks. He's on Team Green in the House Council. No, he's actually he's at where they got the little balls that they set in.
Yeah,
they kill one of the old guys with that very ball. Yeah, just the worst. So naturally, yeah. If you look up Jasper Wild, you'll see his face and instantly want to punch it. Remember, but Dude, yeah, this fight sequence between the two was just crazy. As he's dragged, yeah, go for it.
I wish they would have shown more of, like we are talking about before, when Dunk and Arian are fighting one-on-one. I'm waiting for like a King's Guardman to come up and like knock Dunk over to help Arian out. So that was kind of weird to where like it was just the two of them. And we didn't like, no one came to like assist the guy who kind of started all of it.
So weirdly enough, the only person who did was Raymond Fossaway. There's one clip where Arian is on top of Dunk. He rides by and he knocks him, and Arian goes flying. And then the camera zooms on Raymond riding away, looking back, and then somebody just takes him off of his horse instantly because he's looking back at Arian. Yeah, other than that, though, nobody else got involved. The only person who tried was after Dunk had won, and he's dragging Arian to be like, you need to tell people you withdraw the accusation. Maekar saw his son being dragged, and that's when he loses it and is like, that's my son. He tries to get through. Baylor's hitting him with the sword. Lionel is hitting him with the sword at the same time. And it does show the scene right as Dunk like is rocked and looks up. You see Maekar swing the mace and crack Baylor in the back of the head. And it's really messed up because you can see Baylor's not even swinging his sword hard. Like you can tell he's just like doing it to do it. Essentially, he's not trying to hurt anybody. And then Maekar sees his son getting hurt and he just swings it wildly and cracks Baylor right in the back of the dome. And the even more messed up thing is he may have survived that blow if he had his own armor.
Right.
But he was wearing his son's armor, which was too small for him because he didn't plan on joining the list for this. So he didn't bring his armor to the tournament here. So he may have survived that swing, or if Steely Pate made his helm, he probably would have survived, because as we saw Duncan taking mace after mace to the head and he was fine. But just
dumb, though.
Yeah, well, that's true. He doesn't have a lot of brain cells to lose there. So they roll in. We think it's over. Baylor walks in and Dunk's like, I'm your man. Like, let me serve you. I'm your man. And he says, I need good men, Sir Duncan, the realm. And you can kind of tell he seems a little punch drunk. But I want to ask you, Ben, considering you did not know his fate here, what did you think? Did you start sensing something was wrong when he strolled in, or was it until the helmet came off that the real deal came? Okay.
No, I thought he was just post-battle, like a little bit beat up. Yeah, I had no clue. And then as soon as the helmet came off and just like the reaction behind him, I was like, oh, this is not good.
You could hear it squish when they took the helmet off. Like the sound design was just like, oh, that didn't sound right. And you even see like Baylor's eyes kind of roll to the back of his head when they pull the helm off. And it's just like, oh.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
So I forgot about that.
Okay.
So
that was a surprise when you watched.
That was a surprise when I watched. Well, when he started to say my fingers feel like wood or my legs feel like wood, whatever, I was like,
fingers,
no. And because he noticed it a little bit before when he started to act kind of weird, like too much than just off a battle. And I was like, something's wrong with this guy. And then they took the helmet off, and the helmet was too small. If the helmet was bigger, it probably would have just kind of bounced off of his head instead of just like caving the back of his head in.
Right. Like that's the messed up thing. It's like if he just would have had his own armor, or if I don't know, it's pretty sad. And yeah, dude, I didn't remember it when the moment happened in episode 4. I got all hyped about Baylor joining. I was like, that was so sick. And then in the meantime, I read something about like, Baylor's fate's not great. And then I started thinking, was like, oh no. And I didn't remember exactly how it happened, but I did realize, he doesn't make it past this story. And then sure enough, just brutal.
Can we talk about what George said? Did you want to say that for later? About George saying, Baylor Targaryen dying was like the last chance of the Targaryens kind of saving their whole dynasty. Him dying so young before he was king kind of set them into the complete downfall that they eventually go to.
Yeah. Well, and you never know too. So this isn't really a spoiler. This isn't going to come into any of these shows here, but so I guess spoiler alert, if you're planning on, I don't even think these are in the books. So there's not really much of a spoiler.
10 seasons though.
That's true, but it's about Valar Targaryen, Daeron Targaryen. It's not about Aeg or anything like that.
Valar is Baelor's son. Right?
Yeah, and he's the one whose armor Baelor wore, and he's the one who's very upset with Dunk, saying, "Why did my dad die and you survived?" But it's okay. I'll just say that line of family. There's something called the spring sickness that kicks into Westeros down the road, and it wipes out that entire line of Targaryen. So some people wonder, well, if Baelor even survived, he probably would have just died from the sickness that everybody ended up dying from down the road from this. So yeah, it's called the Great Spring Sickness, and it literally wiped out tens of thousands of people in Westeros, including that whole line of the Targaryen family. Interesting. Yeah. So they were just kind of always cursed.
I'm gonna do a read / listen to Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and probably Fire and Blood too, because I already kind of spoiled the ending of House of the Dragon for myself, so I don't think it totally matters if I just kind of go through it again,
Yeah, there's some stuff.
It's going to be tough to watch. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think it could be, though, like up there in terms of Game of Thrones television hierarchy, if they do it right. Just because there's some really good stuff.
Shocking.
Like, in my opinion, that all of the best parts of the House of the Dragon is like we haven't even seen it yet. So,
right. Well, if Dave stepped away for a second, you see that trailer for season 3. What do you think about that?
I did the non-AI one. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, right. The real one, right? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm probably. I feel like I'm more optimistic than everybody in terms of House of the Dragon. Like season 2 did kind of suck, but like knowing the entire storyline, like right. I still have high hopes and a little bit of good faith left that they can right the ship.
Right, because I feel like they just kind of saved too much. They should have put the battle at the end of season 2, but now it's going to be in the beginning of season 3, and then we'll probably get some more crazy stuff going on. But it's going to be so tough. Go ahead.
We talked about that when we did the House of the Dragon stuff, about how season 2 was like, I want to say 11 or 12 pages. And like,
really? Oh,
there's over 100 something left in House of the Dragon, and it's all good stuff. So like there was no need for them to do to like slow roll this season 2 because there's so much you have to work with.
All right.
Oh, all right. Sorry about that. Thank you.
We did a House of the Dragon pivot for you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Before we get into episode 6 here, just real quick, as far as how this trial rolled out in the book itself, because again, we didn't get to see anybody else. Darren Targaryen, who said he was going to take a fall, in fact did. Robin Rising hit him in the first charge, and he remained motionless in the mud for the rest of the fight. He just laid there. Yeah, Sir Donald of Duskendale killed Humphrey Beesbury in the very first charge. Humphrey Harding was mortally wounded and died hours later, although in the TV version, apparently they say he died instantly too.
Not good for the Humphreys.
No, they did not do very well. Raymond focused on his traitorous cousin Stefan and managed to match him blow for blow. At the end of the trial, both were still standing. And that left Baelor, Lionel, and Robin on Dunk's side against Maekor and the Three Kingsguard. Willem Wilde was knocked unconscious and later carried off the field but survived. So Robin continued to fight one of the 2 remaining Kingsguard one-on-one and was still standing when the trial ended, and that left Baelor and Lionel trading blows with Maekar and the 3rd Kingsguard. So the only people to die were Baelor and the 2 Humphreys. Everybody else survived.
It would have been cool to see.
See, I wish I could have seen all that.
Right.
Yeah.
It would have been cool to see Lionel and Baelor against Maekar and the 3 Kingsguard. Just for a couple minutes, just them like doing because that would be more like of the fancy Class A dueling we see in some scenes. Those are like the top of the level type of knights out there. So get a little mix of the 2.
Yeah, you could tell Lionel's armor was built for him to move with some flash and pizzazz to how he fought. He wasn't like in burly. He wasn't in Robert's massive armor with his war hammer and he had the helm, he had the antler helm going, but everything else is pretty sleek design going on for Lionel there. You could tell he's got a little bit of the Renly in him. I see him as like a fencer. Yeah.
That's his style of fighting, you know, just
Yeah.
au revoir.
Yeah. But yeah, brutal episode, man. But really good, especially the stuff we got to see there. And then we go into episode 6. So the finale, very weird finale, because again, this is a short book, and the climax and everything happens in episode 5, and they're pretty short episodes. So really, this episode 6 is just wrapping up the events of the story and barely giving a little bit of a kickstart for the next season. So we see the Knights of the Trial of the Seven reacting to the events of the fight before we go to the funeral for Baelor Targaryen. Dunk looks back on the fight and his doing and has an existential crisis about whether he brings death wherever he goes and if he caused the death of Baelor. Maekar and Dunk speak, and Maekar offers his son to squire for Dunk as long as Dunk goes to Summerhall. Dunk refuses before changing his mind and offering to take him on the road, to which Maekar refuses. The show ends with Dunk about to ride off as Egg runs up to tell him that his father has had a change of heart, to which we quickly found out he in fact did not have a change of heart, and Egg has just yet again run away.
Little fucker.
Another change from the book, by the way. In the book, Maekar specifically hears out Duncan saying, you know, yeah, your other 2 kids have stayed with family and they're pieces of shit. So maybe it'd be good for Egg to get away. And Maekar actually takes his advice in the book and goes, you know what, screw it. Okay, fine. So they broke away from the book on this for some reason. Which
It
I
makes
just
more
kind of
sense for the character, I guess.
it does. And now they both have a secret from each other. Dunk thinks Egg is there on his father's wishes, which he is not. And Egg thinks Dunk is a knight, which, as we find out in this episode, he was never made a knight, actually. So they both kind of have their own little secrets going into this new journey that they are embarking on. But
Never a
as
good
far-
start for a
yeah,
relationship.
a relationship built on lies, nothing but good things happens. Ben, what did you think? Just overall impression for this episode? Because again, it was a weird one. It's not your typical finale episode. So how did it land for you?
Yeah, no, it was still good. And Dunk does touch a little bit. I can't remember what 2 Targaryen games he names drops, but he's like, so and so didn't slum in the dirt. So and so didn't eat salted beef.
Right.
Kind of saying they ended up like pieces of shit. So just because you do that doesn't mean that Egg's gonna turn out great.
Right. And he's right. I mean, quickly before we get back into the Maekar thing, so we'll open up. The episode opens with Dunk just laying half dead against a tree, talking with Lionel there, which was just hilarious. Like Lionel's just sitting there talking and shooting the shit with him, and it's like, yeah, you know, you could come squire for me, and or you could come, you know, to good God, Storm's End, and we could go hunt. You know, life's so boring back home. It's a bummer the tournament's over. Like this guy's just talking like carefree, doesn't care about anything. And in mid sentence, the maester's like, "He's dying, sir." He's like, "Huh? What?" He goes, "He's dying. His wounds have mortified. It's beyond my skills." He goes, "What? Shut up." What does he say? He
Be
says,
gone, witch.
An itchy butthole is beyond your abilities. Be gone, you witch.
Yeah.
He's fine. You're fine, Duncan. Don't listen to him. He's a shipmaster. The maester's just like, yeah, he's dying, bro. Like he's not gonna make it. Just get out of here, bro. Like, I don't know. That was this. Yeah.
And he says, "I love you I will love you like a brother." It made me think of Renly and Stannis. I'm like, do the Baratheon brothers really get along that well? You know what I mean?
Did the Targaryen brothers go? Like, Egg wanted
Right.
to kill Aerion. Yeah, it doesn't really mean much. But
Well, he ends that with, "Or I can hate you like a brother."
Right. Yeah.
that's right. He did. He totally nailed it at the end there. Well, so I was curious what you guys thought here. Wait, go ahead.
And I like how he kind of touched on, because Dunk's obviously feeling bad about Baelor, and he's like, yeah, he wasn't really the one that sacrificed much. Like he went out there, his Kingsguard was not going to hurt him. Like we all laid our lives on the line for you.
Right.
Yeah. So what did you guys take? What was your take on his take here? Essentially, because like he had no remorse, and he said, you know, the best gift you can give the realm is a dead Targaryen. So you shouldn't feel bad about this, bro. And he risked nothing We sacrificed, the Humphrey sacrifice, the Apple Boy. We fought for you. He fought against Kingsguard, sworn to protect him. He risked nothing. So what do we think? Was Sir Lionel being a little harsh here, or can you kind of see where he's coming from on this there?
He's being a little harsh, but I think it was what Dunk needed to hear, especially since he was feeling so bad about it. Because there is truth in there. He just has his slight Targaryen hatred bias mixed in there as well.
Yeah. Lub?
Yeah, he's definitely right. I forgot what I was gonna say for a second.
Lionel.
Oh, but everyone's still no matter what, everyone's still gonna think that it's Dunk's fault. You know what I mean? Everyone he's walking around after him was like, "Oh, you got the prince killed, the greatest king since Aegon the dragon." And I think Jaehaerys would like a word. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but no, he wasn't risking anything. It was an accident that had happened. It was Maekar being upset that
was it an accident though?
I don't know. But I do see Dunk's side, like a Targaryen dying is normally a good thing, but Baelor was kind of the exception to that rule.
Yeah, he was pretty chill. He was pretty chill. I thought he was like, it was kind of messed up to start, but the more he spoke about it, it was like, all right, yeah, I see where he's coming from at least. And you see, it shows what the realm thinks of Targaryens, really. It's spite. It's not respect. It's not like admiration. It's like, yeah, these guys have overpowered us, but screw these fools. Like they do not like them across the realm because they're invaders. They're invaders who came, took over their land, and they've had to live under their rule for the last century now. So it's interesting to see that.
Lionel's got a little Bobby B in him.
Too,
little Bobby, little Renly.
He does for sure. I thought that with everyone hating the Targaryens so much that people would be more like saying it's all Maker's fault. Like he's trying to up his way to the throne instead of, I mean, it really wasn't Dunk's fault.
That is a good point. Because now Maekar is literally heir to the throne.
He's first in line. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Valar was second in line for the throne at the start of this season because he was the son of Baelor and but you would think that I think that only counts as Baelor's alive. If Baelor dies, it goes to the next eldest son, which would be Maekar, and I think the line of
because
ascendancy changes.
Because Valar was counting on his dad becoming king, and then once his dad becomes king, he's next in line.
Then he's first in line.
King, the king has a son. The king's brother is next in line till he has a son.
Right. Because they said that directly about Valar, and I think episode 2, they said the second in line to the throne. It may have been episode 1, but
damn, he just went from second to
just gone
fifth. You know,
yeah. Because now you got
Maekar,
sons? You got Aerion, you got Aeg, you got Daemon, and you got Aemon, who is at the Citadel currently practicing to be a maester. Who will
he doesn't know he knows he can.
He's not in line.
He's not worried about him. He's technically behind him, but he's not worried about him.
That's true. He's out of the line of this. Yeah, he's out. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting scene though with Lionel there, and I don't think he's gonna pop up again. Unless they force it, because I'm pretty sure he never pops up in the story again. But man, I wouldn't be mad if we saw him, in another project somehow. I really enjoyed Lionel Baratheon.
He's not back at all. He doesn't come back for isn't there like another a tourney or a big party in the third book where kind of all the lords and stuff kind of get back together?
Yeah,
I think he could pop up in season 3.
That's crazy. You know how you're not supposed to look up stuff?
Oh no.
It's not. I don't.
Depending on the timeline.
We'll see that. Yeah, I don't think we'll see that. But I didn't know that's. I didn't know that was a part of his story at all. That's kind of wild.
Is it how he dies?
That's wild. You can ask me if you want to know. It's not
I want
about
to know
how he dies. Okay.
Okay.
So quick spoiler, just about Lionel Baratheon. I don't think this is going to come into play for the show. Duncan eventually promises to marry Lionel's daughter. And Dunk breaks that promise, apparently. And Lionel and Dunk end up going into single combat.
Whoa, that's probably going to be in the show. but that's
It's
still
pretty
6.
far. It's like probably 20 years after this.
Like, this
based
is like
on
season
who's king
6
at this point. Yeah, this is down the line.
If this show goes 10 seasons, it could be so epic with the time
That's-
jump, and we get like a Lionel Dunk trial
Yeah.
by combat 20 years over down the right. Come on.
dude, and based on this, like again, I'm not gonna read it all off, but actually Lionel could have a major part if we get into like season 9 or something. But he gets into a conflict with Dunk and Egg, and it
Huh.
and it's not the end of his story. I won't tell you how it ends, but he does have another run-in with them. So I hope so. All to say, he's a really fun character, so I'd like to see him more.
Does Fire and Blood have Dunk and Egg in it?
No,
it
I don't
doesn't,
think so.
right?
I'm pretty
This
sure
is
it doesn't.
all from the history book?
Yeah,
the-
yeah. That's a world of Song and or whatever it's called, the actual history
history
book of all of Westeros. Yeah, it might be a history of Song and Fire or Song and
Huh.
Fire, a history of Ice and Fire.
Damn. I didn't know it went into like that part of it.
Yeah, it goes deep into it. That's wild. I don't know what this is. This refers.
We listened to that once. That was when we were really into the Game of Thrones books. I listened to the fucking history book.
This might be season 3. So if it is, sorry about that. Based on what they're saying here, it wasn't a part of a book at some point, but it doesn't say what book. Anyway,
You didn't
before
say
we
what
just-
happens in the end, so that's fine.
No, I didn't intentionally. So yeah, that's not the end of their story. There, it's just a part. It's just a stop in the long story of Dunk and Egg and Lionel Baratheon, and that's not even lying. Let's get on to the next thing here. So Dunk's next kind of stop. I don't know if this is in order, but Raymond Fossaway. He goes and talks to Raymond after this whole fight here.
Married man.
And listen, man, this fool had maybe one of the most all-time tournaments in the Westerosi history. This fool came in as a squire for a scumbag cousin, and 3 days later, he leaves with his own shield and sigil, splitting up a new house of House Fossaway with the Green Apple. He has become a knight. He got married. His wife is pregnant. He fought
Maybe.
and won in the first. Yeah, it could be another guy's. Fought and won in the first trial of the 7 in 100 years. And not only did he help Dunk out 2 or 3 times in his fight with Arryn, he defeated his older cousin. All in a few days.
Got a new horse.
And he got a new horse. And he dropped like 16 apple puns at least. Like this man dropped he called his cousin rotten to the core. He told Dunk to knock the seeds out of him. He said, I may be ripe, but I'm like this dude was spitting apple puns the entire damn time he spoke. He even pulls out a green apple when he gets given the horse. He's just got a green apple on deck at all times now.
You have
his
to,
new
right?
sigil. Bro, this man had an absolute come up of a tournament. So shout out to Raymond Fossaway.
I was really hoping he would join Dunk. Like, where are you going, man? I'll just tag along with you.
Are you
'cause
busy?
I hope he comes back, right? He has to come back.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, there is a civil war between the Fossaways, between the red and the green apples,
Oh, no.
which is just hilarious to say. But I don't think they get into it. I think there's like a brief, like Dunk has like, oh, I heard Fossaway something, but I don't think we actually get anything about it.
I could see him, like, just because of how good of a character he was, them switching the story a little bit to kind of bring him back a little, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they're changing stuff already. Again, I mean, Egg running off was changed. Maekar ordered him in the book. And then we'll get to the Dunk apparently never having been knighted by Sir Arlen in the scene we see here. That was never specifically said in the book, but we get this sequence here where Sir Arlen's telling Dunk a story and he dies mid-story. Dunk doesn't realize he's dead yet. Is like, why did you never knight me, man? Like, were you afraid I would leave? Because I wouldn't. Like, you know, I would stay if you knighted me. And then he realizes he's dead. And then he comes back to life real quick, only to shit on George R.R. Martin by saying a true knight always finishes his stories before dying again. So George, I feel like you were aware of that line. I don't know if that's from the book, but a true knight always finishes his stories. So
He died
good
again?
work, brother.
I didn't notice that.
I'm fairly positive it didn't show it, but I think
That was
I felt
like
like he died right after.
That's the location where he buried him.
Yes,
so he
it
dies
is.
under that tree, obviously. So there's no
Right.
no story after that.
which I think is why it kind of confirms that Dunk was never knighted, which the book never, it was left open-ended in the book, but this was a pretty strong indication that he actually was never knighted and that he died before he knighted Dunk.
I kind of prefer the open ending. Kind of
Same.
never address it. Kind of just wonder the whole time. Maybe have like Egg asked him in season 2, like, hey, what happened in the knighting ceremony between you and Sterling, and have like Dunk be like nervous and kind of weird about it, and then you're like, huh, like did that, you know? But you don't have to actually say it.
Yeah, and I don't like both of their changes. I don't like that.
And the Egg and his dad.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that they changed Dunk's knightedness there, and I think in the book it made way more sense with Maekar and Dunk's conversation that Dunk got to him. He resonated with him, saying how his kids were raised in royalty, raised with their family, and they've both, one's a drunk, one's an absolute piece of garbage, and the third you sent off to the Citadel, who is not with his family, and he's going to end up being the most decent person out of all your kids. So in the book, I like that Dunk's words, which he's not a man of many words, convince the Prince of the Realm to be like, shoot, you're right. You know, he may be better off with you. So it was a funny punchline at the end where we get the title card of a Knight of the Nine Kingdoms, and then we switch to Maekar, and you go, you know, where's Egg? I haven't seen him. Us the 7. Where the fuck is he? She was pissed. I thought it was funny, but as far as storytelling goes, I much prefer the book where he had the change of heart. He heard Dunk and was like, yeah, maybe my son would be better off, you know, living on his send my son to Dagestan 2-3 years, forget, and he may be a better person. So yeah,
it was interesting how he said he's my last son when he has 3 sons, but he's saying like this is the last son that like has a chance to be a good person. You know,
one's a maester and he's gone, and the other 2, he has no confidence in them taking over and ruling at all. You know, Darren and Arian aren't rulers, so he's like, this is my last decent kid I have to take over and to carry our name on, because the maester is not going to have kids. So it's just Egg left now to continue that on for a decent person. So how did we feel about this whole thing? So with Maekar, they made him to be a little bit more favorable in the show. In the book, he's more on Arian's side. He doesn't rip Arian for deciding to do a Trial of the 7. He has his back a lot more, and he rips Dunk a lot more. He's a lot more aggravated towards Dunk. So as a whole, as a character here, from somebody who didn't read the book, how did you like Maekar Targaryen, Ben?
I think he was portrayed accurately, like from what I know from the show. Just kind of the scorned brother's not the right word, but just obviously being in the shadow of Baylor, who's everyone knows is just like such a great guy. Like you're gonna feel some type of way, which is also why I think he did kill him on purpose, and like maybe a little subconsciously swung that thing a little too hard, but I think there was some pent up too.
Okay. And again, I think the book leaves that a little bit more open-ended too. I don't think they specifically, I don't recall. Maybe he does have the same line saying the realm will always say that I did it. I can't recall, but I feel like they left Maekar's intention a little bit more open-ended in the book itself. It's funny you say that, Ben, because he's a second son, which is a key thing that pops up a lot in these Game of Thrones stories. So in House of the Dragon, Daemon mentioned, you know, Otto is a second son. He knows that anything he has to take for himself. It's not given to him. Daemon, he was a second son. And these second sons in these realms kind of have a chip on their shoulder because they're not the first son. They don't have that right that they're going to be given to them. They kind of have to work for their stuff more than the first son does. And that's Maekar Targaryen there. So it's another kind of second son who has a chip on his shoulder. It's a pattern in these Game of Thrones stories for sure.
I don't think he did it on purpose, though, only because of the line of he has to live it. He says he has to basically live in his brother's shadow now. Like whenever he makes a bad decision as king, they're going to be like, Baylor wouldn't have done that. Baylor would have done better. So Maekar in the show, he wasn't a character I liked, like obviously, but he wasn't like an evil Targaryen. You know, he was just like stern, harsh, like, you know, like defended his son because he had to, but he didn't defend him because he like enjoyed his actions and like really, liked what he did in the whole puppet show. So he has
Right.
some good morals to him, I think.
Yeah, I think in the book, I felt more like he maybe did it on purpose. In the
Right.
show, I felt a little bit more like, okay, I kind of believe him there. But in the book itself, I do recall thinking, yeah, he probably killed him on purpose, or again, I don't remember the detail they go in the actual fight scene, but they made Maekar more of a villain in the book itself. So I think it felt more so that it was intentional reading it. But I really like the actor. I thought he did a really good job. I enjoyed his character. It made me think that with the changes here, maybe they plan on bringing him in a couple more times in the next seasons. But we'll see.
They did a great job casting all the Targaryens.
Fantastic, really. All the cast. This whole season, like George R. R. Martin said, where he said Dexter, the kid who plays Egg, he said it felt like he literally jumped off the page, and all of these characters felt like that to me. Really, like they really, even Fossaway, like he came perfectly as this bumbling, well-intentioned, but not really experienced dude who's a good-hearted kid though, and hates the Targaryens because they're scumbags. And
He reminds me a lot of Podrick.
He does.
Totally. And he's already married a whore, which Podrick had his way with the whores too. So they may have more in common.
I was gonna say he's probably well packing down there.
A little Starlin in him. Not like that though, because he'd be walking different.
My mom watches the show and she said, "Oh my god, that guy's penis in the second episode." I was just like, "Oh my god."
Oh yeah, Sir Arlen. Oh god. At the end of this, real quick too, we saw a scene with Egg just straight up walking about to murder Arion, which I don't remember if this is from the book.
Yeah,
but he had the dagger out.
I was waiting for you to bring that up.
Yeah, I don't recall that from the book. And to me, that was the other thing. So Maekar just watched his youngest son walking to kill his brother, and Maekar's like, "Oh, my young sweet boy is turning into a murderer." So that made way more sense for Maekar to see that and be like, maybe he should join Dunk. Obviously, this isn't a very healthy environment for him. So that I thought they were setting that up exactly for that. So I was kind of again confused that Maekar was like, "No, I didn't give him permission." It's like, well, what was that scene about? Why did you show him almost killing him and you stopping your son from killing his brother? Like that. So that felt a little weird, but. And then the last part of it here, they're heading off. Egg runs up, catches up to Dunk, and they decide they're heading off to Dorne. To which Egg corrects Dunk and says 9 kingdoms. Dunk goes, "Well, what do you mean? It's 7 kingdoms. Everybody knows it's 7 kingdoms." And Egg proceeds to list off all of the different kingdoms. So this was kind of meta because this is kind of discussed between fans too, I think, a little bit.
I never realized that.
So the Crown Lands are made up of lands from the Riverlands and the Stormlands. And the Riverlands and Crown Lands aren't kingdoms technically because their lands were never formalized. So that's why it's not 9 kingdoms. It's still 7 kingdoms because technically the Stormlands and the Riverlands and the Crown Lands aren't kingdoms. So that's
the Crown Lands are Dragonstone and King's Landing.
Right. So King's Landing really is just the kingdom, I believe, that kind of falls under. And
I thought it was going to be like Dorne and the Iron Islands because they're always kind of breaking off and doing their own thing. I thought it was those two,
And I forgot. I don't even think Egg read off the Iron Islands, did he? When he was reading off the 9 kingdoms, he did. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's the Riverlands and the Crown Lands that were the extra 2, but people dispute them being actual kingdoms because there's no actual king that rules those. They're like a combination. They're a county, they're not a state, essentially. But
they have their own, like, they have a big castle though,
they do, and it's a big area. It's a massive area of the country, so I guess they just technically think of it as a kingdom, but it's technically, I don't know. But they gave us the title card, Knight of the 9 Kingdoms. So it was interesting. They went out of their way to do that. It seemed kind of unnecessary, and a lot of people watching, like Megan was like, "Well, what does that mean? What is 9 kingdoms?" I was like, I don't really know how to explain that. I don't know. It's kind of a debated. I don't know why they did it though. I guess it was just a joke to make a joke. But they're heading to Dorne though.
It's 7 though. Game of Thrones is all about 7. Bloody
Yeah.
7 hells, bless
Yeah.
the 7, you know?
Even though that's the religious 7, not
Right,
the
but
kingdom 7, but it's
7
still
kingdoms
7.
too.
Yeah, 7
All
everywhere.
about
Yeah,
sevens.
exactly. So what do we think of this ending? It felt a little Lord of the Rings-ish to me in a very good way, a happy little ending. Lub, how did you like the ending of the show here?
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for season 2. Dorne isn't a place we've been to too many times either. You know, like there's been Jamie went to pick up his daughter, but no one knows it's his daughter from Dorne, and then that happened. But were there any other Dorne scenes? Oh, there was a couple scenes with her and like the prince she's about to get together with. But besides that, Dorne is a place that's very undiscovered in the Game of Thrones world. So I think that's going to be cool to go to. I don't know exactly why Egg would just be like, hey, let's go to Dorne. Like, it's super far away, and it seems like it'd be a problem for a Targaryen to go to Dorne, but hey, let's go.
Yeah,
the only
I
kingdom
do
they didn't
think-
conquer.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I am excited to see a little bit more Dorne though. I wish they would have touched on it more in Game of Thrones. Like you
Right.
said, we get a little bit of it, but I'm glad they're expanding into it.
Yeah. In the books, obviously, have way more Dorne than the show, and that was one of the big kind of complaints about Dorne.
In
Forgotten
the later
about completely.
seasons.
Yeah.
Right, because we only see it for a little bit in season 6, I believe it is, when Jamie goes to rescue Myrcella, but they barely show it there. They just kind of did a disservice to Dorne as a whole.
Mhm.
Oh, Steve Martin, you just said that, yeah.
It's okay. You're away. But yeah, the Red Viper dies, and it's like, oh, no one cares. No one cares that the
about
Red
Dorne?
Viper died.
Yeah, no revenge. I mean, it was just like, so
He went there as a safe like ambassador of Dorne, and he doesn't come back alive. And they're like, okay, that's fine.
yeah, things happen. Westeros, what are you gonna do? Yeah, seemed a little goofy. But they're heading to Dorne. Egg says he's never been there. Dunk's never been there. Egg's never been past the Red Mountains, I believe is how he describes it. But that is, I'm trying to think actually. Lub, how much do you remember book 2? It's called The Sworn Sword. Do you remember much of the plot to it?
Not really, honestly. It's more the third book, I think, where they kind of get involved. I feel like the second book is more them on their own adventure, and then the third book is kind of where, I could be wrong, but I feel like the third book is where they really get involved back with kind of the wider story, right? I'm gonna re-listen to the book, honestly.
Yeah. Are you? Okay, because
Yeah.
we don't have a release date yet. I would imagine
2027.
since they're
It
still,
says next year.
they're filming now. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they said. Which makes
So,
sense. They
I
could
don't
film
remember-
it in 6 months, production 6 months. That's January or February next year, and then release it in summer or whatever,
Yeah, I could see that happening. I don't. You said they already have 2027 written as the release date.
That's what it said. They're starting production now, should release 2027.
Okay. Yeah, the second one I don't remember quite as much either, but it's not in Dorne. So I'm wondering if we're just skipping over
It's not?
their trip to Dorne. No, it's in the Reach.
Is there a time jump?
They take, yeah, it's like a year and a half.
Okay.
And they take up after, it's 1.5 years after the Head Knight, the book was. I remember the lady. They take up service for Lady Rohan of Cold Moat. She's known as the Red Widow. And it's a really small, like, there's a dried up river, and this lady of this village is trying to figure out who did it, and it's like a little conflict between two smaller houses that Dunk and Egg kind of find themselves in the middle of. There's a trial by combat that happens again. I don't remember both of them, but I definitely remember the second one being pretty slow and really enjoying the third one as it kind of picked up more.
Right.
So I don't know how tightly they'll follow the second book, but it definitely isn't in Dorne. So I don't know. Maybe they split up the direction of the storytelling, but they obviously are heading to Dorne to end the season right now.
Doesn't the third season have like Bloodraven and like
Yes.
that whole kind of thing?
And
in
the
it?
whole Targaryen crew rolls up. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The Targaryens are way more involved in the third book, and Egg's ancestry, heritage, bloodline, whatever you want to call it, definitely it comes into play a ton in the third book. The third book pops off compared to the first two, really.
It does.
Yeah.
He needs to. I mean, honestly, let him. What I heard recently is he's gonna have Winds of Winter released post. What's it called? When after he dies.
Postmortem. Yeah.
Post-mortem.
I heard that too.
Yeah. So
He
just
doesn't want to deal with the
finish.
criticism.
Yeah, just finish Night of the Seven Kingdoms now. You can release Winds of Winter after you pass away, and I guess that'll be it. 'Cause
You know what?
I don't want them
If-
going off of the history book to finish this story. You know, give them the second half of Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Is that Lou?
No, that was
No,
Opal.
that's Opal there. Yeah, I totally agree. I think you just got to go with the story, like what's already written, and they do a lot better working off of stories that are already written. But I did see that the rumor is he already finished Winds of Winter, but after seeing all the reactions, he just doesn't want to deal with it.
It makes
If that's
sense.
the case, I was gonna say if he does that and it gets released post-mortem, I will take back my criticism. I totally understand, George. If that's the case,
I feel bad
retract.
too. I feel bad for
Exactly.
him,
I was going to say
honestly.
I will feel guilt if that is the
Yeah.
actual. I will feel terrible. But
It's a good
boy,
way
I
to
hope-
put a hit out on yourself.
Yeah. No kidding, bro. Like, well, only one way to find out. George, you may want to hire security out there. Why so Sidious is not endorsing this, but life happens. So maybe
You know what
hire
you could
some
do?
extra
I'm
security.
sure you could go to Kalshi and bet on, will Winds of Winter come out this year, and then,
Really make some money. I got paid to get the Winds of Winter. Are you kidding me? Say no more.
you have to kill.
How many books? How many books are there total right now?
3. Oh wait,
It's-
of the Game of Thrones line,
Night of Seven Kingdoms.
No, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
3.
But they're short. It's
Yeah.
all into. You can read it all into one book. You can buy one book, and it's all 3 stories.
Yeah, they
So
turned
when
it
they're
in. Yeah.
when they're talking about like 10 seasons, he's writing more books, or they're just gonna go off on their own thing.
He's already working on. He's
We don't-
worked on the second half of Night of the Seven Kingdoms for years now, because Night of the Seven Kingdoms
Yeah,
came
I've
out.
heard that.
It did come
I've heard
out
that
after
story
Dance of the
before.
Dragons, Dave.
What's that?
Was Night of the Seven Kingdoms after Dance of the Dragons, or was it? I think it was before
No,
that.
it was
right?
like 1997 that the Hedge
Okay.
Knight came out.
Like after the first book or two, right?
Yeah, because
So-
Dance of Dragons is 2011. The
Okay.
Hedge Knight dropped in the 90s. It was like one of the first things out there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he has stories for Dunk and Egg, and then after the first 4 or 5 seasons, there's supposed to be like a pretty big time jump. And then there will be like the second half of their story together. So it does.
Yeah, and actually, the Sworn Sword. So the Hedge Knight dropped in 1998. The Sworn Sword, which was the second one, dropped in 2003. And then the Mystery Knight dropped in 2010. So the Mystery Knight came out a year before the Dance of Dragons.
Damn, back when he was
So,
working.
Yeah, he was working like crazy on all this. But to answer your question, Ben, he's came out and made statements and like little excerpts and submissions about certain things that happened with Dunk and Egg, and he's commented on it, which has kind of built the lore of it. But it's not all technically written in books, like an actual story, like these 3 books are. It's kind of it's a
Gotcha.
little foggy, really, to be honest. But
I mean, based off history, I don't trust the guy saying he's got stuff
Right.
done. So
right, yeah, and I don't blame you on that one. So real quick, I'm not gonna go. I kind of decided I'm not gonna go into Egg's fate.
Yeah, I kind of thought about
Aegon.
that too.
Yeah, they may work all the way to it. Just know that he has a fate that lines up with Game of Thrones fates at some point.
He's ambitious. He's ambitious.
He's ambitious. He's
a good
he goes
king.
down some paths. He has a pretty gnarly fate, but
Spoiler.
it's
alert, I
way
guess.
down the road. There's a ton of stuff that can happen in between. I mean, everybody dies. Just know that his fate, whenever that does happen, it's pretty sad. It's a pretty sad way. I will tell you a fate of one of the Targaryens we talked about in this show here, which is Aerion Targaryen. And again, if you want to avoid it, feel free to dip out. I feel there's no way in hell that this is going to be in a show.
It might be in the show if they go 10 seasons. That's all.
I just don't. Yeah, I guess. I don't.
That's like 10 years from now. So
right. And again, it's been said in Game of Thrones. Joffrey told Marjorie how he died already. His name is literally Aerion Brightflame.
That's how I remember him.
Yeah. So Aerion Brightflame down the road
thinks he's a dragon.
Fate. He thinks he's a dragon. So naturally, he drinks wildfire and it kills him. And that's how he dies. He thinks he's a dragon. He drinks wildfire and it brutally eats him from the inside out and kills him. So not the smartest tool in the Targaryen shed.
Of course, wildfire, the most dangerous chemical substance in all of Westeros.
How do you get to that point to be like, I'm going to drink this to show that I am really a dragon? You must have been down bad at that point. I don't know. I don't know what leads him to that, but it's a pretty dark path.
It's almost as good as melted gold getting poured on your head.
Dude.
Golden crown.
King right there. Yeah. Nice. Crown for a king.
Kind of similar, though, to you guys that think they're a dragon. Similar.
You don't want to wake the dragon.
And I can totally see.
I fucking hated that guy.
Dude. I could see Viserys, if he had a younger brother, pulling out a dagger and threatening him to make him his sister and marry him, just like Aerion did. That sounds like something that Viserys would absolutely do. But Dany was already a girl, so he didn't need to do that. But he made other sexual threats towards Dany in season 1. So they're very much.
Yeah,
alike.
he said he would still like have her whenever he wanted, even if she was married.
Yeah.
He was a weird guy.
Sure did. He also said that all of Drogon's horses could have her too.
For that crown. He wanted that crown bad and he got it.
Well, let me tell you about that gold crown. So that pretty much wraps it up here. That's kind of I'm going to leave the egg fate down the road. If you want to look it up, feel free. But let's just get overall. Yeah.
And
Dunk's
what?
Fate. And Dunk.
And Dunk's fate is tied to Egg's fate. How about that?
It is, but Dunk's isn't confirmed, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so the whole thing that happens, there's an event that happens, and George has said that it's actually not confirmed. Dunk may have made it out. So we actually don't know if Dunk died during these certain events that happen at some point, certainly down the road.
Because it's all like third-hand accounts from Maesters and
exactly.
That one little person.
And I guess there's Mushroom
Mushroom. Mushroom's a big character in that book.
Yeah. No, I guess there's a lot of word of seeing.
So he could survive.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see Tales of
kind of like 11.
Oh God, well she's dead. So let's wrap it up here. Overall thoughts on the season. I'll kick it off here. I thought they absolutely nailed the adaptation of the book. Like it was a short season. It had short episodes, but honestly, like that was kind of refreshing. They didn't need to add a bunch of stuff to it. They didn't add fluff or bastardize the story whatsoever. They really honored the story into a near perfect adaptation, other than the two things that I kind of complained about them changing. They didn't push screen time, Hollywood agenda, any type of anything. They just literally made a beautiful adaptation. Not only that, it was Game of Thrones story that made you feel good, aside from Baelor's death, which is a rarity. If I was rating the adaptation itself, I'd honestly give this like a mid-9. As far as adaptation goes, like quality from the original source material to the finished TV product, like I would give it in the 9s. I think they really did an incredible job. Unfortunately, for the smaller scale and the story that they were adapting, it's not going to hit the 9s for me. But I do want to say they really they couldn't have done a better job adapting this. But since I loved it so much, I was going to give it a mid-8, but honestly, since it was such an incredible adaptation, I think that boosts it up a tiny bit. I can peacefully sleep at night under a big elm tree in the stars, giving it an 8.7 out of 10.
What are you, Robert Eggers? Whatever his name is?
I don't know.
The harsh movie critic?
Ebert and Ebert and
name?
Ropert, I think. I don't think it's Eggers. But that was harsh.
We
I
knew
thought
what
it
you
was,
meant.
that was pretty high, actually. I know it's going to be higher than Ben's, but you know what, Ben? Why don't you middle ground us here? Because I think Lubs will be a little higher than yours. What do you got for this?
I'll give it an 8.1.
Okay.
You kind of touched on it. Like, it's probably my least favorite Games of Thrones thing, but that's not to say it's not good. And because, like you said, just the depth, like I need some dense stuff to my storylines. That's what does it for me. So it's like nothing they could have done differently. But for what it was really good. And I'm looking for. I'll probably read the books before the next parts come out.
Straight up. I'd probably advise it. It's worth it. At least after they all come out, you should read them. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to read them ahead of time. Lub, we got 10.3 or what?
How is the show not a 9 though? How can you not give the show a 9? Like,
I know.
Like, besides a couple nitpicks, it's almost a perfect season. Like, it's like you said, it's refreshing. It's with House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, there's like these massive stakes and like feeling so much anxiety and like what's gonna happen. Hope like my main characters don't die. And you get this, and it's where like there are stakes. The Trial of the Seven was awesome. And if you didn't know it was going to happen, you might have thought, I mean, you're not going to think the main character is going to die, but still, you're pretty ready for that episode. The casting was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of got to give it, I got to give it a 9.1. I'm going to give it a 9.1. Like, it has to be
typed
over
that
a 9.
in. All right. I don't know if you can see that. I already typed that in. I knew it.
It's definitely front runner for the prestigious City Awards coming out next year.
Yeah.
It's a front runner for series
Best
of the
actor,
year.
supporting actor.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a stacked year for series too. Not stacked, but there's like House of the Dragon, The Boys final season, Daredevil. Like, there's some good shows coming out this year, and it's going to be hard to pass this up for me. So I feel like I got to give it over a 9. Like, if it's probably going to be the best series of the season of the year.
So I said at the start of this that I think it's going to be better than House of the Dragon. And even after seeing the explosive trailer for House of the Dragon, I think quality-wise, I'm sticking with my prediction. I think this will be the better show at the end of the day. And I do want to say, I'm gonna screen share real quick because it's going to seem like I'm changing stuff. I did write that down. Where is it? I wrote down 8.7 initially. Does it show it? Oh, here you go. Oh, it's tiny. It's 8.8 in my official notes. So I did speak that incorrectly. If you can see that there at the very bottom, it does say 8.8 out of 10. So I read off the wrong rating. I had it as an 8.8. Still not a 9 as Lub had it, but
which is
a tiny bit higher.
It's the same as Shogun and the Penguin and Daredevil season 1. So
okay, that's good company.
Yeah. Right. And I don't disagree with anything you said there. And I might rewatch it down the road and reconsider and give it a bump up to a 9. It was hard for me to give it a 9 just on the scale and the story of everything. But again, like I said, I totally agree. The adaptation aspect of it was near perfect. I mean, they just absolutely hit it out of the park with this. So it was fun. It was a fun show.
Awesome. Especially since House of the Dragon comes out later this year and we're going to be so stressed out. The dragons, I hate to see the dragons
dying.
And we know the dragons soon come to an end. So, like, shit's going to happen with the dragons. And I don't like seeing the dragons go out. That's the worst part for me.
I know. It was like seeing that horse die in this season. It was so hard. It was one of the hardest things to watch in this season was that horse getting killed by Arryn. And dragons, it hurts even more. So,
yeah.
Well, I think that wraps it up here, unless you guys have any other outstanding comments left to make on this show. It was a solid adaptation. Really enjoyed it. I really hope that the show creator, I think it's Ira Parker, continues to make more Game of Thrones shows and does not isolate George R.R. Martin like the previous showrunners have done, and continue to have a good relationship with him and continue to make great content with him.
Right.
Looking at you. I don't even remember your name anymore.
Ryan Condal.
Ryan Condal. Yeah.
And D&D.
Nobody remembers your name, but they remember George's name. So maybe listen.
D&D pushed him out too.
Yeah. See what happens. So that'll do it here for us at Why So Sidious Nerd Podcast. Be sure to tune in to all of our upcoming episodes. We've got a big one dropping soon. Our special guest with Dr. James Caan, also known as the author for Return of the Jedi and Poltergeist. Ever heard of it? We had a really fun Indiana Jones.
Ever heard of it?
He's got his memoir out, A Jedi Life.
Ever heard of Poltergeist?
Yeah, check it out maybe. Pretty interesting interview. It was a pretty cool guest to have on. So we're dropping the full episode, I believe, first week of March. So be on the lookout for that. We will be covering everything else dropping as well. Lub, what do you got?
Say Daredevil.
Daredevil drops next month. Woo-wee.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah. Is it mid-March?
Yeah.
Early March. Oh my God.
Mid-March, I think.
We got that coming up. Yeah, so we're going to be dropping content. You may not see me too much. We've got a new addition to the family coming, but the Why So Sidious podcast. Yeah, probably about 2 hours we're heading to the hospital. Yeah. Your Why So Sidious family will have your back.
The dedication to the podcast is so real, Dave. We appreciate you coming out and hosting an episode on the birth of your first child.
It was that good of an adaptation, man. I got to tell you. And stay tuned. We will be doing House of the Dragon as well. So I'm sure our friend Ben will be joining us once again for some more Westerosi coverage. Ben, thank you for joining us here tonight. Appreciate it as always.
Yes, sir.
And we will see the rest of you next time on Why So Sidious, a Nerd Podcast. I'm going to end it.